Alright, we're going to go on our first adventure with ChatGPT in Dungeons and Dragons. ChatGPT controls a party of 4 characters. These are how they are described by ChatGPT. Our first character will be a Faravik warrior named Björn Ironfist. He has a chaotic good alignment and values freedom above all else. Will be a fierce and loyal member of the group, always ready to fight for what he believes in. Our second character will be a Yemenia rogue named Cassia Blackheart. She has a neutral evil alignment and is motivated by her own self-interest. She is quick-witted and skilled in thievery and deception, making her a valuable asset to the group despite her selfish nature. Our third character will be a Burnhammer dwarf cleric named Brock Stoneforge. He has a lawful good alignment and is dedicated to his deity, Moradin. He is a wise and compassionate member of the group, always looking out for his companions and seeking to do good in the world. Our fourth and final character will be a demon king sorcerer named Xanthe Darkfire. She has a chaotic neutral alignment and is torn between her human and demonic sides. She is a powerful spellcaster and a bit unpredictable, adding some spice to the group dynamic. Already a nice looking group, but as this plays within the context of my homebrew world, I have a small issue with this. The Burnhammers don't worship any gods, but they worship the ancestors. They believe that the soul of the ancestors lies in the best piece of craft they created in their life, the magnum opus. If such a magnum opus were to get lost, a Burnhammer dwarf would do anything to retrieve it. A dwarf and cleric would likely draw their strength from such a magnum opus. Work this into Brock Stoneforge's backstory. ChatGPT. Brock Stoneforge was born into the Burnhammer clan, who had a long tradition of being master craftsmen. From young age, Brock showed a natural inclination towards the craft of metalworking and quickly became an apprentice to his father, who was a renowned blacksmith. As he grew older, Brock learned of the Burnhammer belief that the soul of the ancestors resided within the greatest creations. It was then that he decided to dedicate his life to creating his own magnum opus, a piece of armor that would pass down for generations to come. Years of hard work and dedication went into the creation of Brock's magnum opus, and when it was finally complete, he felt a sense of pride and accomplishment like no other. But that feeling was short-lived, as the armor was stolen from him by a group of bandits. Brock was devastated, for not only had his greatest work been taken from him, but he also felt as though a part of his soul had been ripped away. Determined to get his magnum opus back, Brock set out on a journey to track down the bandits who had taken it. His faith in the power of his ancestors' souls, as well as the belief that his magnum opus held the essence of his own soul, gave him the strength to persevere. Eventually he caught up with the bandits, and after a fierce battle, he was able to reclaim his armor. From that day on, Brock became a devout follower of the Burnhammer ancestral beliefs and has drawn strength from his magnum opus ever since. Nice. Now we have already a full backstory for this one guy. Characters are created, everything is locked into place. Now I will take on the mantle of Game Master, where ChatGPT will be the player controlling each in the party. Let's start. Each one of you traveled to Tidegard, the easternmost settlement of the Empire of Taldarion, despite being founded a few years ago during the governor's attempt to claim the Grey Marshes as the new homeland for the Darionic people. Tidegard has already reached a considerable size, with 2,000 souls contributing to the colonization of the Grey Marshes. Contact with the Yemeniki, who live on all sides of the Mist Lake, except for the west where Tidegard is located, has been made only a few years ago, and the lands are virtually unknown for the Empire. The local ruler, Teron Enjader, calls upon brave adventurers to dare venture beyond the Mist Lake to retrieve an important heirloom stolen by the Yemeniki. So, I asked what are each character's motivations to take on this quest. Throg Stoneforge would be motivated to take on this quest for a few reasons. Firstly, as a dwarf who values craftsmanship and history, the idea of retrieving an important heirloom would appeal to him on a personal level. Secondly, as a follower of the Burnhammer tradition, Throg would feel a sense of duty to help his fellow Tidegard citizens and complete the task given to him by the ruler. Finally, Throg is always seeking out new adventures and challenges to test his skills and abilities, so this quest would provide him with an opportunity to do just that. John Ironfist would be motivated to take on this quest because he values freedom and justice. The idea of retrieving an important heirloom stolen by the Yemeniki would be an opportunity for him to right the wrong and help the people of Tidegard. Well, not the people necessarily, but the governor, the ruler, certainly. Additionally, as a warrior, Björn is always looking for a good fight and the chance to prove himself in battle. Cassia Blackheart, our neutral evil rogue, would be motivated to take on this quest for personal gain. She sees the opportunity to potentially profit from the retrieval of the heirloom and is willing to work with the group to make that happen. As an Yemeniki rogue, she would also be interested in using her skills and knowledge of the land to help guide the group through unfamiliar territory. Xantha Darkfire would be motivated to take on this quest for the opportunity to learn more about her human and demonic sides. She's a bit unpredictable and drawn to the unknown, so venturing beyond the Mist Lake into unknown Yemeniki territory would provide her with a chance to explore and potentially unlock more of her powers. Additionally, as a chaotic neutral character, she is not bound by any particular moral code and may see the opportunity for personal gain as a motivation as well. The four of you stand before Teron, the ruler of Tidegard. He wears black clothes with red and gold ornaments. He looks at each and every one of you closely, especially at Cassia Blackheart. But I hope that you aren't part of the same scoundrels who stole my heirloom, he says to her, grumbling. He looks up, and his gaze weighs on the rest of you. It saddens me that I have no leads except that the thieves must have been Yemeniki. I will give you a description of the heirloom, so you know what you have to look for. It is a masterfully crafted compass with a picture of doves, who at the same time look like waves. The compass appears in silver and blue. If you find it and bring it back to me, you will be rewarded handsomely. He pauses and awaits your responses. Throg steps forward and clears his throat. We are honored to be of service, Your Highness. As a dwarf, I have a keen eye for detail, and I promise we will bring back your compass It's a great insult to us that our neighbors, the Yamaniki, would steal from you. It is our duty to help restore honor to the Empire. Jaren grins wildly and adds, besides, any adventure is a good adventure. I mean, Cassia smirks and crosses her arms. I'm interested in the reward, but also in seeing the Yamaniki lands. Don't worry, Your Highness. I don't steal from my allies. Santa nods thoughtfully. I can feel the pull of the magic from the compass. I think I will be able to sense it once we're near. Count me in, Your Highness. Very well. Tyron nods gracefully. You can now begin your search for the compass. He leaves his throne room, leaving the four of you to work together in your newly formed team. Cassia Blackheart approaches the group, crossing her arms. So, what's the plan? Are we just going to wander around aimlessly, or do we have some leads to follow? Xante, observing the group, stepped forward and cleared her throat. We have a difficult task ahead of us, but if we work together and utilize our individual skills, we can overcome any obstacle. We should start by gathering information about the Yamaniki people and their customs. Cassia, as an Yamania yourself, perhaps could you provide us with some insight on where to start? Cassia takes a deep breath and turns to her new companions. So we have a few options to consider, Cassia said, her mind racing with possibilities. We could head towards Radogrid and Vavelog to see if they know anything about the compass, but we might get caught up in the war. Alternatively, we could try our luck in Barzian or Olegmir. Those places might be a bit more difficult to navigate. And then there's Sarnovat, which is close by and gets iron supplies, which are really uncommon for us Yamaniki. We might have to deal with the dark elves there. She looks at her companions, hoping for some input. What do you all think? Drog says, I've heard of these Yamaniki before. My clan had some trade relations with them a long time ago. Björn strokes his beard thoughtfully. I'm interested in this Barzian place. Maybe we can find out more about the curse and lift it. Santa nods in agreement. Barzian sounds intriguing, but I'm more interested in the tolerant realm of Olegmir. I've always been curious about how they managed to coexist with demonkin and elves. Drog nods in agreement. I see your point, but perhaps we should first investigate the situation in Radogrid. It's the closest to Tideguard, and the conflict with Navalak might give us some leads on the compass. Bjorn chimes in. I agree with Drog. Plus, if we can help Radogrid win the war, they might be willing to lend us a hand in our search for the compass. Santa listens intently to the conversation before adding, I see the value in investigating Radogrid, but we should also keep in mind that we don't know what kind of obstacles we might face along the way. Maybe we should prepare ourselves before heading out? Cassia nods. I understand your concerns, Xanthe, but we don't have much time. We need to act fast before someone else finds the compass. After some more discussion, the group decides to head towards Radogrid to investigate the war between them and Vavelag. They make sure to stock up on supplies and prepare for any possible obstacles they might encounter on the way. Beyond Tideguard, there are no roads to speak of. You enter wild parts of the grey marshes. The mist hangs damply from the trees. Together, they completely block out the sun. You have to venture forth through a permanent twilight during day, As night falls, everything turns pitch black. You try your best to rest in the grey marshes, but there are close to unsuitable camping spots. Wetness is everywhere. Make a survival roll for each group member. So we have Cassia with an 18, which is already the best. That sort of seals the deal for the rest of the group. Despite these circumstances, life can still thrive. Cassia knows these swamps well. They've been her home for as long as she can remember. She knows how to evade the swamp holes, which wisps to follow, and which wisps lead to certain death, and eventually finds a dry spot for the group. You make camp atop a massive tree. Frog looks around and takes in the surroundings. This is a strange place, he says, scratching his beard, but I trust Cassia to lead us through it. She seems to know what she's doing. Björn nods in agreement. Yes, we are lucky to have her with us, but we should still keep her watch. We don't know what kinds of creatures might lurk in these swamps. The group nods in agreement and sets up a watch schedule. As they settle in for the night, they can hear the sounds of the swamp creatures all around them, but they feel safe and secure, knowing they have each other's backs. The night goes by undisturbed, and all of you awake well rested. Trog wakes up early, as he usually does, and starts to pack his things. He also wakes up the rest of the group and suggests they start moving. We don't know what's out there, and it's better to stay on the move, he says. Björn and Xante grumble a bit when Cassia wakes up quick as a snake. You continue your journey towards Radogrid. As we continue our journey towards Radogrid, we keep a sharp lookout for any signs of danger or any potential obstacles that may lie in our path. We proceed cautiously and keep our weapons at the ready, just in case. We also keep an eye out for any possible sources of food and water, as we need to replenish our supplies for the journey ahead. Frog looks around the swamp and says, "This place is dreary. I can't wait to get out of here and see some sunshine." Cassia responds, "I know these swamps like the back of my hand. We'll make it to Radogrid before we know it. Just keep your eyes open and your feet dry." Björn grumbles, "I don't trust these swamps. Something doesn't feel right. We need to keep our weapons ready." Dante looks around nervously. "I agree with Björn. We can't let our guard down in this place. Who knows what kind of creatures are lurking in these waters?" Frog nods. "Agreed. Let's stay alert and keep moving." Speaking of the devil, there's definitely something happening. You feel the wind blowing through your hair, making ripples in the water between the boughs. Two air elementals emerge from the mist and charge at you. Roll initiative.